Hey guys, if you want to find out how to make this workbench on a budget, on wheels, with built-in drawers, stick around. We'll go through the materials that we've got. So, in here, making it all the frame out of untreated sort of framing timber here, which is 90 by 35 with a 30mm plywood top. So, quite a thick top, quite chunky. So hopefully it'll be quite sturdy because I'm planning on mounting a vise onto that as well. And then, like I was mentioning before, we've got these casters here, which are a 50mm caster wheel, all with brakes and low capacity of about 60 kilos each. The top I'm going to screw down with pocket hole screws, purely because that way if I need to remove it at any point, I can just unscrew it, so it's not going to be glued down. Second reason as well is screwing it from underneath with pocket hole screws so that I don't have visible screws on top, which will be nice. Okay, and then the frame itself is going to be put together with some 50mm batten screws. Okay, so I've got my table all set up here. Now the first thing I need to actually do is determine what these links are, because I went down to the local hardware store. I have my sheet here with my cut list optimizer. I did have them cut a little bit long and I added a few of them together as well, so I can just do the final cuts now that I'm at home. So the first thing I need to do is actually determine what the lengths are, so I'm going to take measure for that. Okay, we're looking at 860 for this particular one, and based off my cut list, okay, I need to get one at 430 and a 4 at 75. That'll leave a little bit left over at the end as well. So first of all, I need to determine which end I want to use. That's the rough end, so I want to use this end over here. I'm going to measure my 430 over here. Need a square. Line it up. Lovely. Okay, I'm just going to feed it through here. Alright, so this is the finished product here. So we've got two lengths at 1800. I've then got two lengths here at 1660. I've got 7 lengths there at 430, 3 lengths at 360, 4 at 75mm. I've then got 4 at 730, and I've also then got another 4 there at 805. So I'll show you where these will all be used in a little bit, but that's all the pieces I need for all the bracing, everything like that for the entire frame. And as you can see, as I was mentioning before, by using that cut list optimizer, all the waste material I'm left with here, if you were to add it all up, it'd be somewhere around that 300mm mark. So, how these are going to go together, because it's going to be glued and screwed, okay, is the legs. We need an 805 board, we're going to need a 730, and we're going to need a 75 to create one leg. Now, I do have 2 scrap pieces here, which I'm going to use as spacers, okay, to imitate these long 1800 and 1660s, because it'll just be a bit too cumbersome to be trying to move those around. Where I can just use smaller boards. Alright, so essentially how it's going to look, to give you a quick idea, is that we're going to have an 805 board, 730 board, and a 75 board. Okay, and they're going to be sandwiched so that they look somewhat like that. Okay, you can kind of see where this is going, but that's going to then look like this. Okay, as a leg, which, say this is the bottom shelf, it's going to be sitting in there like so. Top shelf is going to sit there. That top shelf is going to be sitting on the front. The bottom shelf is going to be sitting on the back of the front post. And I want these screws to be going through the back, okay, so they don't have any visible screws on the front. I just think it's going to look a lot nicer. Now what I need to do, first of all, is to pre-drill. So using our spacer, put it on so. I'm actually going to get a clamp. So they're going to be on the back. They don't need to be as accurate or spaced appropriately as if they're going to be on the front. Okay. So now you can see we've got our nicely countersunk holes ready to accept these screws, and we have these markings on the back side here as well. Okay, so now what I need to do, okay, to glue this first piece on, I need a bit of glue. Okay, make sure it's mixed well. And then also going to get a old paintbrush that I can smear the glue on with. Clean up that squeeze it out again. Okay, now what we see is we've got one full leg complete. So we just need to complete that now 4 times. We're going to have a nice, strong, sturdy base and then build the rest off. It is then going to sit essentially about there. It'll stick out just a little bit because I wanted that wider work surface, and there's going to be then 1 leg there, 2, then 3, 4. Cool. And once it's all in there and raised a little bit with the casters, because the casters will add 75mm to the bottom, should sit up pretty flush with the underside of the pegboard, which will look schmick. And then when actually stained in that ebony colour, should blend in quite nicely. Undecided whether I want to do ebony on the top yet, or if I do like a polyurethane clear. Decide that when we get to it, so I'll let you know when we get there. Alrighty, on to making the other 3. I've marked up where I just need to trim, since there's just a hair and it needs to come off to make that perfectly flat and straight. So I'm just gonna trim that ever so slightly with the miter saw, just get a nice clean cut, and gonna do that for all 4 of the posts, and then they'll be perfectly sort of square on the bottom and up the top here. So the next step now is just to put that top beam on. So I'm going to chuck one side on first, do the other side, and then join them together. I'm going to do the top beam before I do this bottom beam that goes through there. Make sure it's square, then I'll put that bottom beam in. And essentially how I'm going to do it, I'm going to put glue in here, flip it over onto that side, check that it's square, like so. Chuck in a couple of screws. I'm going to repeat that then on that side, and then once that's done, as I said, I'll move down, I'll put this bottom one in all the way across to that other side over there. Got the top beam in. Okay, now we've just got to work on these bottom beams. Actually, I changed my mind here and I pulled it back apart, because what I've decided to do, rather than initially what's going to happen is trying to join the side rails like so, I've decided now I'm actually going to move it over slightly, join the side rails like so. That way it's a bit easier to clamp something on the sides as well, has a stronger joint because I can actually tie this directly through here into there, so I'm not going through end grain or with pocket holes. So I decided, I've unscrewed it, I'll still use these same screw holes, it's just I need to now reattach this 35mm in. So I'm going to use scrap bit again as a bit of a spacer here. Cool. But same process applies as before, still using glue. Alrighty, so as you can see, one side is all screwed together, glued together, nice and strong. So what I was meaning by these sections here is on the top. Okay, imagine this being a side piece or a side railing. It's going to go on there. Okay, you can carry out and meet the other side of this. Down here, similar thing. Okay, but just to add a bit of extra support in case there's heavy things that are on this bottom shelf. All right, that it's going to go into there, get screwed in, and be nice and flush here, and that also then hides this end grain, so you don't see the end grain sticking out. It'll be nice grain. Also, second one done. First one up there, second one's down there, all done. So now what I need to do is essentially get these 430 pieces. They'll go in there, get screwed in on the bottom as well as up the top here, up there. They'll then join up to this side, essentially making it then a freestanding structure. So that's the next step. Alrighty, So I've got my Craig pocket hole screw here, just a small one, just a single hole screw. I've set it at 38 mil because this is 35 mil thick or wide is the surface that we're going through. And then I've got all my screws ready to go as well, which are 51 mil screws. Okay, I just need to repeat that on all four, and then I can join them in over that side. So it is, if it's going to focus, perfectly level there. Yeah. On the back, smack on. So looking across this way, level, perfect, and then finally nailed it. So even going horizontally or diagonally like that is pretty perfect. So pretty happy with that. This cast is going to go on 50 mil again. Okay, 60 kilos. There'll be 4 screws going into each leg. Got the 430s to go in there. pocket holes, double pocket holes here, double pocket holes there, same at the bottom. It's at 330, that'll go slot in the bottom, 2 pocket holes either side. And we've got 3 bracings for the bottom, 3 at the top. So we'll go 1, 2, 3 equally spaced out. So first thing I need to do is actually mark where it's going to go, then drill the pocket holes, slot them in, screw them in. Alright, so I've had a little bit of an oversight. So I want to get that stationed in here. However, just measured this opening and we're about 20 mil or so too short. So in order to get that in here, I'm going to cut, this is the back, I'm going to cut about 20 or 30 mil out of here, about 600 mil long out of the back. That way I can slot that in through the back. So from the front, it's still going to look nice and clean. There'll be no cuts or anything like that, but I'll be able to still access the drawers and have it stationed in here. That's the plan anyway. So I'll get the jigsaw out, start cutting, across this back side. You know, I have to cut a little bit out of the support. So when you see me doing that, that's what's going to be happening. Okay, so I've just gone through, thrown in all of these extra pocket holes. So essentially there's going to be 8 pocket holes across the front, 8 across the back, 3 across the side, 3 across that side, holding the workbench top down, which is still up here. So it's not going to be glued, which means that I can remove it at any point. You know, if it gets damaged in any way, chemical spills, excessively used, cracks, things like that, it's easier to then unscrew it, replace the top, rather than having to, you know, make a new workbench. So I think that's the way to go. But before that, I've got to stain it all. So I've got the ebony stain here. Hopefully it's going to be enough. I'm just going to coat fronts, posts and things like that. I'm not going to worry about staining obviously the top here because it's all going to be covered. Same just down the bottom. Just everything that's going to be visible, I'll give it a coat of stain. See if it needs 1 or 2 coats, we'll see. Yeah, I'm going to apply it with a foam brush first to see how that goes, and if it's applying it a bit too thick, then I'll just have a clean rag on hand ready to go to wipe some excess off. But it should be the last time that it looks like this, which is pretty cool. Rolls really nice, super sturdy once the wheels are locked. Like, I can't move the thing once I lock it, so should hold not enough weight. I was standing on it before, and it's perfectly strong enough to hold me, so it's pretty cool. That's going to do it for part 1. Part 2, final part of this workbench series, is coming soon, later this week. So if you like this video and you don't want to miss the finished product in part 2, consider subscribing so that you don't miss out. Thanks for watching.